Well, if the final, once they do make those changes, and you've outlined, then, you communicate that they're okay, then of course we can wait until the next board meeting.
Mhm.
In my opinion.
Neither of you have any questions? Take advantage of the opportunity.
That's half of my accounting staff, the other half are gone.
Okay, thank you very much
Yeah, you bet.
for your
Thank you.
time, for being here and going over that with us, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and definitely, like I said, just, even the correspondence, conversations, even recommend them for the board. If, as board members, you have questions that come up throughout the year, want to reach out to, any one of us, we encourage that as well, so.
That
All
sounds
right.
good, nice to know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Let's move on to our
We have
reports.
that right there.
And
I'd say because Reggie's out this
Steve, why
week,
don't we start
if
with
we
you
could-
on the
if
capital
she could get back
projects?
from- She gets back a little bit next week. And have her-
Still,
back out.
capital fund, we're still in the mode of reserving funds for RAD, so there isn't a whole lot here. The only thing that's different is we did go along with replacement of sewer lines that houses on 36th Street North. And part of a city project, they're doing a sewer and water separation up 26 and part of 27. And we had an opportunity for basically half price to put new sewer lines to some of the houses. Which,
Kind of needed,
yeah,
or would be
they're
quite
clay,
cheap.
they're clay pipes. So it's just one of those deals, not if, it's when. So, and the company doing it, which is Sherman's out of West Fargo, which I've known for years, they put together a proposal to be Zach did. And from my experience, they gave us quite a deal on doing it, because they already had done the excavating at the street, so they only have to dig once at the house and then do the reline. So we're doing 22 of them.
Yeah.
22.
And then it's like about $4,000.
Yeah, about 4,500 a deal. The normal to have a sewer done non-frost is right around $8,600 is what most permits are pulled for. And then the other thing you gotta worry about is, with our luck, it'll be in the winter. And then it runs anywhere from 12 to 15,000, because they've got to use a ground tower to open the ground up to get down to it. So just, I know it doesn't sound like preventive maintenance when you're talking sewer lines, but it kinda is. Now, we're gonna skip a year and then they're gonna do some more sewer, separation up there again with new lines. And I've already talked to them, of course, there's no way to know, cause it has to go to an open bid if Sherman's will have it again. But the people from the city have already said that they will, whoever gets a bid there again, they will talk to them again about, that we wanna do this while everything is tore up instead of having to come back after the fact. We are gonna get rid of about 4 properties that Roto-Rooter visits about once a month to every 3 months, which will help too,
It's a lot.
cause of trees.
We're gonna sell those?
No, these are scattered site that we're
And then we're gonna.
When you say get rid of
But
them,
by doing it, they
Replace
won't
them.
have to have.
get rid of having to call Roto-Rooter.
when you said that, I thought we were.
No.
Rid of them.
No, get rid of Roto-Rooter, I hate that name. And, so we don't have that bill too. So if you start looking at, sometimes we've been charged up to $800 to open it, don't take too many times and you've paid for getting this done, so. And then the other thing is, I've got the budget put together for the 2017 capital fund, and the RAD meeting here in August will be presented to them, and then we come back to the board with it after they've seen it, so. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
let's go on to Jill, your report.
My report is also attached. It's about 4 pages. I've got just some backup information. So we did a project-based voucher RFP, request for proposals. This one was for Sisters Path. We were hoping that Sisters Path would apply for it and maybe some other landlords. Every time I do a project-based voucher RFP, HUD needs to review it. There's a new definition of owner, and the Housing Authority is a management agent for Sisters Path, and HUD had decided to define owners as management companies. Because of that, we had to get something called an independent agency to review our RFP. So Sisters Path was the only one that applied for it, and it's still in the FedEx box because we couldn't open it because we were considered an owner. I contacted Clay County and Cass County, and Clay County agreed to do it. We need to pay them for doing that, reviewing the proposals, setting the rents, coming out and doing inspections. So it's something we're gonna need to, yeah, we're, you know, this is just a kind of a bleep in the screen because the new HR 3700 or HOTMA, which is the new Housing Opportunities Modernization Act, returned the definition to owners to a true owner instead of a management company. So this will be the only one that I think we will have to do. And I know they'll do it for a reasonable fee. But Sisters Path was the only one that applied, so they will get vouchers for Sisters Path, project-based vouchers. RAB is scheduled to meet on August 23rd, so we'll be bringing lots of things in September to you of what they approve or don't approve, including the capital fund. And that'll be our annual plan. We need to send it in, then have our hearing in October, and then send it off to HUD for approval. I'll talk about NARO later on National NARO. We received awards for our 2 FSS coordinators. This is a non-guaranteed renewal, so I was happy to get it. I do not know when we go RAD whether we'll get our Ross service coordinator because we'll still have somewhat of a portfolio. But according to HUD at this point in NARO, we will keep our FSS coordinators. So that's a good thing. Yeah, I'm currently working on renewing 5 continuum of care grants. They have completely changed how they set them up. There's no such thing as shelter plus care anymore, which is where we provide the shelter, we pay, you know, the housing assistance for them, and then agencies, they're mandated to have case management and support services. Now that's all gone. If they agree to it, that's fine, but if they don't, that's fine. So, I need to call it a supportive housing program now, so that's different. And we're hoping that, people will continue to have case management because their chances of success are so much higher.
Because
with
the
some
original
case
intent was
management.
to require that they have a case manager and shelter plus care, right?
That was the intent, yes, yeah.
We developed that right away.
Yeah, and that was a HUD mandate. Now it's a HUD mandate, you can't, it's housing first, everything is housing first.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And then, as we reported earlier, the Sisters Path grant went away. We are applying for it again. I'm working with the YWCA because they have an MOU with Sisters Path to provide supportive services. And they have no way to pay for it, so we're working on applying to get at least a portion of that back to put support staff back into Sisters Path. They also had talked about when we lost that $150,000 for Sisters Path, that we could get a little bit more for Cooper, because we only get $57,000 for 42 people. Sisters Path had $150,000 for 12. So, I'm meeting with our we have a new continuum of care coordinator, and see if she will honor that, if we can just transfer some of that money. And we have the training then next week, so. I think we're talking about organizational changes as far as having department supervisors. This is our first staff meeting, since July. We had HCD or the Section 8. So I talked to that group about it, and then there'll be public housing and affordable. Having kind of the organizational structure, when we get that all decided.
So that
As
will
far
be
as
a new,
department heads.
new look to the flow chart then from what we received not so
Right.
long ago.
Right.
There's a lot of details we need to work out, we need to have a little more conversations with staff, how they'd like to see things done.
Okay. I've got some job descriptions coming in from different housing authorities of how they've worked it, but it looks very much to be the norm to have department supervisors under a deputy director,
Yeah, we've kind of
particularly with our size.
grown, we've doubled, almost doubled in staff since I came here. And we haven't changed our structure, so.
Well, and I know, Michael, you had a ratio, can you kind of talk about that and then see if we kind of are falling into line with that?
Yeah, the literature that I've followed, it recommends no more than 7, preferably 5 direct reports per supervisor. So 5 to 7 is what the recommendation was.
And is that
Yeah, I
kind
think
of
it would be
looking?
7, and I think it's about 17 right now.
I know it's,
16 or 17.
yeah, really.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So when that gets done and settled out, can you give us that updated?
Yes, we'll be working with you more, but just so people can be thinking about it and kind of.
Yeah, we'll do that very slowly to keep everybody on board with it.
Good.
And we'll talk about it at our staff meeting on Thursday also, or all staff. And then the last thing was, we've ordered our first set of 52 limited